Welcome to episode 13 of A Year of Writing. Today, I wanted to talk about writing rituals and habits that support a creative life. In this episode, we will explore some famous authors' writing routines, and we'll talk about how you can establish a more efficient writing routine. One thing that I started doing now that I am studying and writing full-time is that I started trying out different famous authors' writing routines. I film it all and put it on my YouTube. It has been a lot of fun trying different authors' writing routines. And the reason why I wanted to do this was because I wanted to learn how I could develop my own writing routine and make it even better than it was previously. I also wanted to challenge myself and see what it was like to, write full time. I also wanted to learn, to see if I could figure out some of the secrets that these amazing authors know. And another reason, it's because it was fun. It's a fun experiment. It's something fun for me to try out. And so far, I've tried Stephen King's writing routine, Elizabeth Gilbert's writing routine, and Neil Gaiman's writing routine. Which one did I like the most? I will get back to you on, all of these writing routines and what I thought about them at the end of the episode. But first, let's talk about consistency when it comes to writing. Because this is something that basically all the successful famous authors that I've read up on, all of them write consistently. They show up to their writing as if it was their job, which of course it is, but they show up every day. They sit down and, sometimes they write, sometimes they may just stare at the blank page, but they do not wait for inspiration. They don't wait for motivation. They just, try to write every day. And one way to create a consistent writing routine is to have a writing space where you can go every day to, be by yourself with your writing. I think I've told you in previous episodes, but right now I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I light a little candle and I sit down and write in the kitchen. Usually my partner has not woken up yet. It's very calm and quiet, and it's time for me and my stories. It's really blissful moment. It's also nice because I go to the same place every day and sit down, and that also triggers the creative part of my brain to know, okay, we're writing now. And for you, maybe it's somewhere at home, or maybe you'll go to a coffee shop. You can also do this, if you're a night owl, you'll do this in the afternoon or in the evenings instead. Maybe you'll do it after the kids go to bed, or maybe you do it before, 1 hour before you, get to watch a TV series on Netflix. Setting clear and achievable goals is also something that is really essential for this to work. And start with the, small, manageable bite-sized goals for you to be able to achieve. It might be writing a certain amount of words every day, or writing for a certain amount of time every day. I guess this depends on what kind of writer you are. Some people are just really fast writers, but they end up throwing away 90% of what they write. And some people are really slow writers, but they barely has to edit because they have thought everything through so well when they put the words to page. So, if you are a slow writer or a fast writer, maybe word count isn't for you. Maybe, the time spent writing is a better measurement of your time, a better goal for you to achieve. I have a spreadsheet where I put down how many hours I write every day and how many words I've written, because I think it's also, it's a lot of fun to see. I also, put in if I'm doing writing or if I'm editing or researching or whatever I'm doing with the current project. It's a great way for me to see also how long does it take for me to do a round of editing, for example. Like, okay, well, I know that I can go through these many words, these many words in an hour, and the manuscript is, say, 100,000 words, and maybe I can edit 2,000 words per hour or 4,000 words per hour. Then I can figure out how long, one edit round will take. Because when you break down also like your big goals to smaller chunks, it's a lot easier to achieve. And remember to celebrate those milestones. I think sometimes we're too harsh on ourselves. We don't, take a step back and realize, wow, we've actually achieved something here. And in general, rituals can be really, really great when it comes to boosting your productivity and your creativity. As I said, I light a candle every morning, the first thing I do, and it's such a cozy ritual that I really enjoy. Another thing that you could do, maybe you do push-ups or, take a walk before sitting down to write. I know some writers that do that, but having some kind of ritual that gets you in the writing mood, it's an awesome way to clear your mind and to get ready for writing. And also try to maintain a consistent writing schedule. Try to write, every day at the same time, if possible. So if you write in the evenings, try to write at the same time every evening. Or, those nights, maybe you can write 2 nights per week. Then do that at the same time. Because, as I said, rituals are really important for you to build up this consistency. And it's when you have a consistent habit, that's when you can see your progress accumulating over time for you to achieve amazing things. And if you end up having writer's block, I know it's tough going through that, but there are great ways to overcome that. I talk a lot about this in episode number 10 of the podcast. So if you haven't listened to that one, please do. But one approach is to, step away from your work and take a break. Maybe you work on something else, like, I don't know, write poetry or something that's completely different from the story that you were writing. You can also engage in physical activity. I usually go for a walk if I end up getting stuck in a scene or whatever. Not listening to music, not listening to any audiobooks or podcasts, just taking a walk to clear your mind and to be in the present moment. That really helps for me to, whenever I get stuck in something. You can also try writing prompts or stuff like that. It works really great. Or, do some journaling or free writing, or, I don't know, read Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. So there are a lot of things you can do. Don't feel discouraged just because you have a little bit of writer's block. Remember that writing is a skill that is developed over time, and this is why it's important for you to continuously write. I think you need to be patient with yourself and realize that this is something that people spend years and years learning. If you want to write over time, this is what you will do too. And that's why it's important for you to have a writing ritual and writing habit. And the most important thing, it's that you enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy sitting down writing, then I don't know why you want to become an author, to be honest. Because there are other things you can do if you want to become famous. Writing is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a long and slow process, and most authors, they can't live off their books, but they do it anyway because we love writing. And now back to the thing I talked about in the beginning. What did I learn from trying Stephen King's, Elizabeth Gilbert's, and Neil Gaiman's writing routine? And what kind of writing routine do they even have? Well, Stephen King, he says that he wakes up at 6 o'clock in the morning, he eats his breakfast, takes his vitamin, and then he goes for a walk for roughly 1 hour. I don't eat breakfast. I do intermittent fasting. So I woke up just went out for a walk for 1 hour. And then Stephen King sits down and he writes at least 2,000 words, which is 6 pages. Usually he says that he writes, he will read the last page that he was happy with, and then he'll continue from there. He'll start by writing, and then after he has written his 6 pages or 2,000 words, he usually starts editing them. I did not do editing when I tried the writing routine because I want to edit after finishing the first draft. That is my process. But yeah, that's Stephen King's writing routine. And Elizabeth Gilbert, her writing routine is that she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and she writes until around 5 o'clock. No, she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning and she writes until about 10 o'clock or somewhere before noon. She likes to write in the morning because that's some time for her, to be alone and before the world needs her or craves her attention. After she has finished her writing, she will attend to other things in her life. And Elizabeth Gilbert, she does not write consistently all the time like Stephen King does. She has a writing project and then she will do a lot of writing, but she does not write all the time. She will have pauses in between that. And the last writing routine that I tried was Neil Gaiman's. He writes in longhand, which was really interesting. I have not written the first draft in longhand in a long time, so I decided to do a short story when I tried his routine. It was very interesting, and he writes from in the afternoon, so he does his answers emails, does his blog post and stuff like that in the morning. And then around 1 p.m., he will take his notebook and his pencil and he will go out to, somewhere where he won't be disturbed and he does not bring his computer or his phone with him. And then he will sit and write by longhand. And if he does not know what to write, he will just sit there and think and, allow himself to get bored. And that was something that I found very interesting because I barely remember the last time I just sat without nothing to do and without a phone to distract me or whatever. So that was very, very interesting. My first learning from trying these writing routines is that with Stephen King, I loved taking a walk for an hour the first thing I did in the morning. It was a great way for me to boost both like my serotonin levels. I felt very happy, very inspired, very good to go when I sat down to write. And it also helped me figure out some stuff that I needed to figure out for the manuscript I've worked on. So I think that when I'm writing first drafts or if I get stuck, this is something that I'm going to, continue doing. I'm going to start before, start my writing session with a walk. Really, really like that. The second learning was that if I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I can write for at least 2 hours most days. Some days 3 or 4 hours in one go, and it's such a productive way for me to work. I'm not as fast at writing in the afternoons. I'm a bit slower, easier for me to get distracted. So writing in the morning is really my go-to. And that is why I have continued getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning most mornings, because it's so good for my productivity. And right now I'm working on multiple projects, so I need to get as much writing done as I can. And my third learning was that writing longhand, it's hard for me. I did enjoy how slow it was. And I did like, the fact that I had to sit and do nothing when I did not know what to write. But I don't think it's for me. It's too slow. I guess I also associate it too much to my journaling because I journal every morning longhand. But it was interesting to try it. And I think that for some writers, that is a great way to write a first draft. Because when you write slow, like I considered which words to use a lot more. And this is usually something that I will, do during the editing process instead. And now I did it during the first draft. So it was very interesting. And the reason why I wanted just to bring this up with different authors' writing routines is that you should try different writing routines to know what suits you best and which one you enjoy most. I thought I knew what suited me best, but now I have revised it because I realized that doing things differently boosts my productivity. And yeah, I would love to hear what kind of writing routines you have today. And, if you did not have to compromise, or, if you did not have to work, how would your ideal writing routine look like if you were a full-time writer? Let me know in the comments. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this episode, please subscribe for more content like this. Bye!